Hey everyone, I'm back. It's Stephanie, and you are tuned in to the first review of Married at First Sight, Season 10, Episode 1. Okay, so I missed you guys a lot. It's been a long time since the last video. I think the last one I shot was the end of September. For those who are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Stephanie Lee. I am a therapist and a relationship expert, and Married at First Sight is one of my guilty pleasures. So I told myself a few seasons ago I was going to start putting my advice out there, helping people, talking to more people, and over the last few seasons I've built such a beautiful community that I miss so much, so I'm so glad to get started again. Don't forget to subscribe because you guys, I'm coming up with some new content that I want to share with you guys, so if you subscribe, then you will be one of the first to know whenever I post a video or any new content. Before we get started with the review, just a couple of things that has been going on the last couple of months. My husband and I have been traveling. We've been spending time with family and friends. We've enjoyed we're also expecting a baby. Come on in.
Okay, I got freedom.
Yes.
Hey, been putting in a lot of hard work.
We're expecting our first baby. For you guys who don't know, if you guys know, welcome back. What do we call you?
On the People's Champ.
The People's Champ is back for the first episode because we wanted you guys to find out the news. We wanted to share the news with you. For you guys who don't know, this is my handsome hubby, Edmund. And every now and then he comes on so that he can just give a male perspective of the review.
Normally I iron my shirt before I come on. It's been a long day.
It's about the news. They don't care. Yeah, so we're expecting a baby this year and we're very excited. And we wanted to share with you guys.
Turn up. All right, I'm out. Go ahead, do your thing, babe. Welcome back. She's got a lot of great stuff coming for you. I'm so excited about this season, but I'm out of here.
Thank you. All right. So, yeah, baby Lee will be here in July. So we'll keep you guys posted. I might do some updates and stuff like that. All right, so let's get started. Season 10 is in DC, which is cool. I mean, DC is a great city. I'm surprised that they haven't done it yet since it's 10 seasons of this. This is by far the largest season that they had. There are 10 cast members. There are 5 couples. They started out with 3. I think the last season was the largest thus far. They had 4 couples and now they have 5. So for those who are new, my mix is professional and personal. Okay, so professionally, I think it's great for them to, as they expand their brand, to incorporate more couples, try to reach more people. Personally, I don't think I really cared for it. For some reason, the vibe, the first episode so far, I'm kind of unimpressed, but we'll see. Okay, it's too early to judge, but I think it's too many. I think when you start expanding it to that many people, and there's not more experts, there's still just 3 experts. If you've been watching the show since season 1, there was 4 experts. So they have brought down the number of experts, but now they're increasing the cast members, and there's just so much going on. And we've talked the last few seasons about it kind of being diluted and them not having enough one-on-one time and enough direction and assistance. So I don't know how it's gonna go. I think 5 is too many, but here we are. So let's get started. Oh, and I want to say something. I think that they're casting too young too, and we talked about this the last few seasons too. I think that they either need to create a branch of the franchise that casts maybe nobody under 30, or even if they want to play around, nobody under 35, because I don't know. I think maybe it's now like the pregnancy hormones where I'm like easily irritated, because I was just like, when a 25-year-old is saying, I'm tired of dating, I'm thinking, okay, what about people in their 30s and 40s? I don't think that the help should go to the young kids yet. Not that you're a child in 25, but when you're like in your 30s and 40s and stuff like that, you know so much more about yourself. So I think even being matched at 30 plus, 35 plus, is there's a higher level of retention in a relationship, because you already know who you are. A lot of those changes just have already happened, and it's not necessarily like, oh, you just change, you become somebody else, but a lot of the natural matriculation of who you just become from 25 to 30 and 30 to 35, that stuff has already happened, So I vote that they stop casting so young. I mean, I don't know who else is going to hear this vote, but the 25, 26 thing is kind of just, it's not working for me anymore. But they have cast some younger people. I think most of the cast, I think 4 of the 5 couples are kind of young. So that will play a factor, I think, in the relationship for sure. So let's kick it off with Taylor and Brandon. So Taylor is so now they've coined these people, and I don't remember all the names, but they've coined them with like little catchphrases so you can remember who they are. Taylor was Beauty and Brains. She is a research scientist at Johns Hopkins. Very intelligent, very accomplished. She's a beautiful girl. She also has like a side gig where she promotes for a bourbon company, which is interesting because it just shows the dichotomy of who she is. You know, she's very clinical and structured and regimented because you have to be as a scientist, but then she, you know, promotes for this bourbon company, so she's fun and she's lively and she's social. So that is I think just like a great dichotomy. She is matched with Brandon, who I think is 33. I'm not going to say all the ages though, because I really don't remember them. It'll take me a while to, after a few episodes, to remember them. But she is matched with Brandon. Brandon is in beer sales. So I thought that was interesting that they matched the two of them because they have that commonality of their, you know, love or interest in alcohol, and not just drinking it, but they actually, you know, work with it. So that was pretty cool. Taylor is from a single home. We see her mom, I think her cousin, and someone else sit down. Her mom's not like completely on board, but her mom is supportive. And you can see they have a very close relationship. Her cousin and her have a close relationship. She actually asked her cousin to walk her down the aisle, which is very sweet. And he seemed very honored. They seem very protective of her. I forgot who else was at the table. It was another lady at the table. We're missing a whole side of where dad is, what her story is with that. But hopefully we find that out as the season goes along. Brandon is also very close to his family. He really is looking forward to having children, is one of the things he mentions, and having a family. So that's really important to him. One of the things that was interesting is Dr. Viviana, I believe, said that she was concerned about this match because I think it was Dr. Schwartz who says that she's concerned about the match because she doesn't want it to be something where he is intimidated by her because she is so accomplished. And so she doesn't want him to feel, you know, maybe emasculated or not good enough or whatever the case may be. But they all said, you know, okay, I think he's a cool enough guy to kind of overcome that, and that might not be something that he's concerned about because he's successful in his own right. So the interesting thing is, during the bachelor party, he brought up, the guys were talking, and he brought up, maybe I'm not good enough for her, or something along those lines, which was, you know, it wasn't surprising, but it was a little interesting just because Dr. Pepper had brought that up. So I hope that's not something that is a thing for him. I hope that he is confident enough. I don't think we really got to know the 5 couples really, because there was just not enough time to get to know them, but I'm sure we'll see that. But I think that he is probably confident enough to, you know, meet her, get to know her, and as long as she is not, and I think this is for anybody, whether it was a man or a woman, as long as someone isn't arrogant and throws it in your face and tries to make you feel less than, and as long as you're secure in what you're doing, because everybody has different paths, it could work. You know, that might be what he or her needs, the opposite of each other. So that's pretty cool. He's close to his mom too, single mom, so we didn't get too much family history from them, but I'm sure we'll get that moving along. So we'll see. So that is Taylor and Brandon. I've written them down for the first couple of episodes. I will do that so I can remember all these names. All right. So Mindy and Zach. Mindy is a figure skating coach, I believe, which is really cool. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anyone on this show have that type of career, or something just so interesting and so different, you know. So I thought that was really cool. Zach is big into fitness, so his whole brand is about fitness, and he's also very passionate about it not just being the physical aspect, but also just psychologically and emotionally. And so he is very driven. He has a good family support system as well. He's close to his family. She's close to her family, even though they're not supportive of this. Both of their parents have been divorced, but obviously they're optimistic about this process and getting married. They were paired on the strength of him wanting something different, because he, based on what he said, kind of dates the same type of girls, and it is kind of superficial, and because he's into fitness, he kind of runs in that circle and he wants more. And he even said, I've always dated the girls that look great. He didn't necessarily get into what happens, but obviously it hasn't been working out. So he's looking for someone where, yeah, he's attracted to her, but someone who has more depth. And I hope, because he said, one of the things that he said to his friends was that, he wants to make sure that he's attracted to her. Like, what if he walks down the aisle, or she walks down the aisle, and she's not what he expects? And of course, I think everyone has that thought. But his friends kind of said, well, there's worse things that can sabotage the relationship. And I'm glad that he had that support to say, let's not focus on that. Like, they know what you want. They're not going to ignore those things, but they are going to give you the things that you didn't know you needed. So that was really good. Mindy talked to her sister first, and her family is not supportive of it. Her sister is. So let me take that back. Her parents are not supportive of it. And that is really a hard thing that she's going through. She's very emotional about it because they're not on board at all. And at this point, we don't know if they'll be at the wedding. And I'm not sure if they'll show up. We've had, if you've watched this series, we've had some people have their family not show up because they're not on board and they don't change their minds. So that will be a hurdle for her. It's something that's also very hurtful, but she's still excited about the process. And I think once you get going, you realize, I'm already committed. This is what I'm going to be doing, and it is what it is. So we see that aspect of her, but she really wants to settle down, and she seems very committed to the process. So here's hoping. They seem a little opposite. They have commonalities. Like, they're both involved in things that are physically like pressing. He's in fitness, she's a figure skating coach, so they're both active and they clearly like to do things. So they have that commonality. But to me, just based on what I'm seeing, he seems a little more outgoing and she seems a little more reserved. So that might be a good thing, where, she might help him, like, I don't want to say simmer down, but like, calm down a little bit, and he might help her like pick it up and maybe take a risk or try new things. At this point, I'm making it up because we don't know enough about them, but decent pairing. I don't think I love any pairing this season so far, but decent pairing. So that is Mindy and Zach. Meka and Michael. Okay, so Meka and Michael, they are, I think Meka's 25, if I'm not incorrect, 25 or 26. Very big family unit. She was raised by her mother. We don't know much about where dad is. And also for Michael as well. We don't know much about where dad is. At least I don't remember hearing where he is, but I know that he was raised by all women. And she has a very supportive group, because when she tells her family that she's getting married, everybody toasts and they're so happy. But dad is not really in the picture. So one of the concerns for the experts was, they have a lot of female influence and maybe don't necessarily know what having a man in the household looks like and what a man's role is in a relationship. Because we often get what a relationship looks like from our parents, or from, whoever you are around who's raising you. And they have not been able to see anything that they can mirror or decide, okay, I don't want to do that. I want to do the complete opposite of that. So that's a concern for the experts. And I think Pastor Cal brought that up. And I agree with that. That we have our own ideas of how things should go and what they should look like. And then there's reality. And if you don't even have somewhat of a blueprint where you can say yay or nay, then you're really kind of walking in blind. But if you have two willing people who are constantly working on themselves, because I think that's really important in a relationship, and when you're married, you're never not in a position to evolve, to learn, to grow, to communicate differently, to learn more about your partner, to learn more about yourself. I always say that marriage is a mirror. So if anything, when you get married, you see more of yourself than anything else. You're like, oh, I'm not that flexible, or God, I thought I was less selfish than that. Marriage is a great way to really realize some of the things that you can work on for yourself. So as long as you're willing, there's a potential there. I have a concern with Michael. So when Dr. Pepper goes to his space, he says something along the lines of, and this isn't, I'm kind of like going back and forth between the matchmaking special that came on before the first episode, but he says something along the lines of like not really wanting someone in his space. I don't know. I see two sides of him. When he is like engaged in a male group, he seems like fun and relaxed and casual and social. By himself or one-on-one, there's something missing there. Him saying that he doesn't want somebody in his space, and Dr. Pepper is saying like, because she said something along the lines of, this doesn't really look like a inviting social place. She didn't say it rudely, but it was kind of like, okay, this is not really set up. This area is not really set up for big socialization. He was like, yeah, I don't want people like in here or touching my stuff or something like that. And she's jokingly like, okay, well, you're in this experiment, like for a person to come into your life. This person's going to be in your space. And, you know, it felt off to me. And I'm just wondering, is he really ready for what he's asking for? You know, he says, I do this, I do this, I do this, I've done this, I'm ready for this. But I don't get energetically that he's really ready for it. And I get that Meka is so excited for it and she's so bubbly. But I don't know if she's really ready for it too, because she just has a very immature energy about her. Not immature in a negative way, like immature or like something's wrong, just immature, like really unaware. And that's kind of, it takes me back to, okay, these people really need to be ready for this experiment in their lives, otherwise it's gonna fall flat. So that's Meka and Michael. Speaking of falling flat, speaking of people who are not ready for this experiment, Katie and Derek is the next couple. Okay, so Katie is, I believe, 25 as well. She is diabetic. She has been diabetic since she was a child, and one of her concerns and one of her things is, you know, I need to kind of get this train going early because the longer I wait, the more problematic it may be to conceive. So that's a reality, okay? And so I don't think they necessarily need to cast people who don't have like real life things, because that wouldn't be real life. My concern though in this experiment is how short of a window people really have, and how much someone wants to take on and make a lifelong decision based on those things so early. So it's a very convoluted feeling I'm having, because here it is. This experiment is, we're getting married, we're in it for the long haul. And they kind of say, they reiterate every season, this is not an 8-week marriage. This is 8 weeks to kind of get to know each other, to make lifelong decisions for your lifelong marriage. That is the hope. That is the goal. But I'm just thinking, wow, that's a lot, because she may have to have that conversation immediately with the person that she's marrying, Derek. And that's a lot, you know, that's a lot to take on with someone that you don't know, someone that you're just meeting. Another thing, Katie is not, I'm kind of really annoyed that they even cast her. But once again, I go back and forth, because I'm like, behind the scenes, are they seeing these things? Do they know? These people can kind of show up and present very well and be a complete mess on the inside, and no one would know it, because people do that all the time. So she's still, you know, going back and forth with her ex-boyfriend. She sits with her parents and her step-parents and talks about this relationship. And what was a red flag for me was her saying, oh, well, this relationship that just ended a few weeks ago. Wait a minute. If you're even doing this you know, experiment, I don't think you should have gotten out of a relationship weeks ago and signed up to marry a stranger weeks later. You're not done. You're still like in the mud. You're still dirty. You need to clean yourself off, fix yourself, deal with whatever issues you have, or whatever issues that caused that break, before you jump into even the next relationship, more or less a marriage. You know, I think she did it as like a, I'll show him, or I'm sick of this, you know, very emotionally triggered, not necessarily thoughtfully triggered. Like, I'm ready for this, let me put this in the hands of somebody else. That's one. Two, up until her wedding day, she's crying, she's sad, because she's completely unsure And I think it's because she feels stuck in this decision that she's made, because it was like, oh God, I actually got chosen, you know, and now I have to marry this stranger. You absolutely do not have to marry this stranger. You have chosen to marry this stranger. You've chosen to take up a valuable space of someone else who would actually be committed to this process in your selfishness. And now you don't know what you want to do, and you're still communicating with your ex-boyfriend, and he's now telling you he has feelings for you, but weeks before it wasn't that way, obviously, otherwise you would have been together. So it just really, she really irritates me, because I feel like she's not there for the right reasons, and I feel like it's a waste of a space, because there's somebody else who really wants to be a part of this process, and unfortunately she's blocking that with a bad attitude. She's just crying and not really happy, and just, why, I would have just respected if she would have bowed out. But, and I don't know, who knows, this is only episode 1, they haven't even technically gotten married yet, but she's the perfect example of who shouldn't have been cast, and really who doesn't need to sign up. I did a video a while ago, and it's still on here, about like, here's what you need to know, or here's what you need to be prepared for if you want to sign up for a show like this, because people are kind of ready to do it. So that's Katie. Derek seems nice, you know. I don't even know Derek, but I feel like he deserves more than this. Derek seems nice. He's not really, he's a little hard to read too. He's nice and casual, and but he's young and not, he doesn't really say much, you know. He's ready for this next chapter, but I don't really get an understanding of who he really is either. He seems just like cool, calm, collected, quiet, not like too quiet, but like, I didn't get a very strong vibe of anything from him. He just seems like a nice guy. He wanted to do this, and he's ready to do this, and he's not nervous about it. He's not second guessing it, which is so much better than Katie. So hopefully as time goes on, and if they do get married, we get to see more of him, who he is. His family's supportive though, so that's good. He does have that family support, and he is 100% on board. So that is Katie and Derek. Last but not least, we have Jessica and Austin. So Jessica is a twin, and she's extremely close to her twin. She was typecast as the keeper, so everybody always says that she is a keeper, and she, you know, identifies herself as like a wholesome girl, or people always identify her as a wholesome girl, and she's kind of just ready to get to the next phase of her life. Austin, you know, sweet guy, very smiley, nice family, kind of ready to get to the next phase too. There was nothing that really stuck out to me as super problematic about Austin. He's just kind of ready for the next thing too. He got along well with the guys at the bachelor party, so he's kind of social, easygoing. Jessica mentioned that her twin sister and her are so close that it got into the way of relationships for her, which is a concern for me because it shouldn't get into the way of a relationship, especially since her sister got married. So her sister didn't allow her to get in the way of relationships. And one of the things that she says is, she was replaced by, I guess, her brother-in-law, which for me, it's kind of like, you can't really be replaced because you guys don't play the same role. Like, you're the twin sister. You will always be the twin sister, but you cannot operate as the husband. So I don't know, she gives me a little clingy, super sweet, like sweet as molasses, but she gives me a little bit clingy, but nothing like of a red flag really with her. I hope that she lets those relationships, or her next relationship, matriculate as it should, and not let things get in the way, or not let the opinion of maybe her sister, because she sat down with her sister and brother-in-law, and they are not super excited about this next phase. And you know, family, especially when you're close to them, their opinions do matter. So it's not to say that, you know, it's not a concern for her, but I just hope she doesn't let those opinions get in the way of what she needs to do, because, you know, everybody has their own life to live. So that is Jessica and Austin. I think they'll be fine. You know, once again, I need more, because based on what I've seen, there was nothing that like blew me out of the water with these matches, and it's a lot of people, so it's just a lot of people to get to know. But we have a whole season together as per usual, so we will see them. I will say that I was not impressed with the ladies' bachelorette parties. I don't even know what I watched. I just don't get what they did this season with that. The guys' bachelor party was cool. Seemed like a very cool spot. Very chill conversation. I don't know, but I don't get the girls' bachelorette party. I don't know what that was. So I don't know. They're constantly changing things, so it's like they're evolving and they're wanting to do differently. And I hope that they watch these reviews and listen to maybe feedback from the viewers. But we'll see. Maybe next season they'll come up with something else. So, anyways, that is the review for episode 1. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like. Let me know what you thought about the season, who your favorite couple is, and that's it. Everyone have a great weekend and Happy New Year. I should have started out with that. Happy New Year, and see you guys next week.